Hi friends, it is Tuesday, May 7th. We just finished our Board of Supervisors meeting. We started at 9 o'clock and ended at 3:55. So it was a really long meeting. I'm gonna go over quickly as much as I can. I wanted to say thank you so much to Jaime Valenzuela, director of Aguilitas de Davis. They came out with a part of their performing group and sang a few songs for us. They brought Natalia, who was the winner of the Canta for 3rd to 8th grade, and it was just so nice to have them there, and it was always a pleasure to see Dr. V. I also want to thank Dr. Barrios for coming and reading the land acknowledgement. I really appreciated you coming as well. So let's jump into, we had 9 proclamations. So that was part of the, the time that it took, because what I think is really critically important is if we're going to give a proclamation to an organization and they want to introduce who's there, they want to have a little something to say, I think it's important that community groups are able to do that and celebrate. And then we also had the We Are Gems quarterly recipients. And so these are employees of Pima County that have been nominated from their different departments for just outstanding customer service and work. And so it was really nice to be able to appreciate them as well. So we had a lot of employees and highlighted great organizations and programs. So I was really glad to do that. We had an update on the Sahuarita and Marana Food Bank and Community Resource Center, and that was very helpful to just understand what it is that they're doing. And also what was told to us is about 80% of the people that are utilizing the services there, either at the food bank or the different community resources, are not from the area, and so they're coming from Tucson and other places, which I thought was really important. We also had 22 people initially sign up for call to the audience, but we had to break that up into 3 different sections because we had several items that were at a time certain. And so we did have a lot of people speak, so that was also some time. We had a discussion about dedicated affordable housing funding options. And so I wanted to thank Supervisor Hines for bringing that forward. We had a really healthy discussion about it and some of the reasons why I think that we gave our county administrators some good direction about what to utilize and look at. But really what we wanted is for this to go to our Affordable Housing Commission. And so that Housing Commission to look at some of those options and give direction. And one of the other things I asked for is to better understand how we're utilizing the $5 million that are allocated from the general fund to capitalize on Pima County having a line item and trying to draw in additional funds, federal or state funds, and how we're leveraging that. And so I'm looking forward to that information. We had a discussion about non-competitive outside agency funding. And so what this is these are organizations that get a direct line item. They don't have to compete for the money. And we talked specifically about 4 different programs: Job Path, Sun Corridor, the Board of Regents, and Metropolitan Education Commission. So what we decided is Job Path is going to be coming back for more discussion on May 21st. Sun Corridor is going to be reduced by $100,000 to $550,000, and I'm going to be requesting some real specific data from Sun Corridor because as I mentioned in the board meeting, I was really disappointed that Becton Dickinson was brought to Pima County from Sun Corridor when we specifically the resolution was passed by the Board of Supervisors 4-1, so super majority, to not bring polluters into our community. And so that's continued to bother me. And so I want to better understand why those kind of organizations are coming in when Pima County is paying for a portion of Sun Corridor to, draw in business. The Board of Regents is being reduced by $50,000 for a mobile unit that's no longer needed because the health department has their own unit. And Metropolitan Education Commission, they're going to be awarded $122,000 directly outside of a competitive process for this fiscal year, and then next fiscal year they will be competing. And that item passed 4-1 from the Metropolitan Education Commission, with Supervisor Scott voting no because he really believes that it should be a direct line item on both the city grant, on the city side and the county side. So we voted 5-0 on the annual action plan, and so there's a list of organizations that receive funding. Pima County Teen Court is one of them, so I'm very proud of that. But I would like to see more of the funding go to our programs, and so there will be a contingency fund as opposed to an administrative indirect. And that fund will be there for organizations that utilize all of their funding and then can go back to the county to say, you know, if we had more money, we'd be able to do more. There are a lot of organizations that are receiving really small amounts of money, and a couple $1,000s will make a big difference in those budgets. And so I want to make sure that the county takes less of an administrative fee and directs more of those funds, limited funds, to our nonprofit organizations and small local communities. So we, just to give you an idea of the need, the total requested was $6.6 million and was awarded is $2.67 million. And so the need is so much greater than what we have funding for. And then for ESG funding, the request was $502,000 and what we funded was $241,000. And there's, you know, all of that information is available on the attachments. We voted 4-1 for Heat Awareness Week. Supervisor Christie voted no. The reason why I was really happy to support this is because our office has put forward the draft of an ordinance that we'd like all of Pima County to have, but starting and piloting these programs here with our Pima County employees. So making sure that, for example, our wastewater department has clothing that already has sunscreen built in, that they have shading, which right now they really don't have adequate shading out there in the different sites. And I think that's really critical to be able to allow flexibility in start times and end times to try to avoid as much as possible that really high heat, because so many people in our community, as I'm sure you can all understand, the illness, heat-related illness and deaths is always continues to increase as soon as we hit over 100. We declared fentanyl as a public health crisis. This is something that we've been working on, and I think that it's really critically important that we're moving in this direction. It's been months that we've been working with the city of Tucson to come up with an intergovernmental agreement that we voted 5-0 here at the Board of Supervisors, and we're hoping that the same will happen this evening at the city of Tucson board meeting. I think this is a really good regional approach to how we're going to address the fentanyl crisis in our community. And so thank you to everyone who was a part of that, because I think that this is a really good move forward for our entire community. We approved a 5-year agreement with Banner Health for the operation of their South Campus. It's $15 million a year, again for 5 years. This is the location formerly known as Keno, and we all, I think, still fondly call it Keno, but it's so important, especially for our District 5 community, to have a hospital that is here and conveniently located to so many people in our community. And so I was happy to support that, and I believe that item passed 5-0. We had a study session that started at about 2:55, talking about the budget and having a real in-depth conversation and review about the budget. This was something that was requested by Supervisor Lee, and most of us were there for most of it. I think Supervisor Christie left at about 3:30 after he'd asked his questions, but I do think that it's worth having those kind of conversations where there are no votes to be had. It's just, let me better understand the budget. And I want to encourage you all to look at the presentation that we looked at. Give it about 24 hours because our clerk's office is going to upload all of those presentations. And also we have an overview of the community tax rates, or Pima County tax rates, to really show that we've tried year after year to bring down the total rate in Pima County. So if we look at, let's say, fiscal year 14-15, it was 5.7167. Right now we're at 5.1048. And so we've done, I think, a really good job of trying to keep the tax rate low while still dealing with the reality that the state continues to revert different programs and taxes and things that they should be paying for back to Pima County and back to Maricopa and back to the cities. And so the state is balancing their budgetary constraints on the different local municipalities. And the total result, and the reason why we're in this situation, is because of the flat tax that was put into law by the previous administration, that we're hoping we make some changes with our representation at the state level, so our governor and legislators can work to change that, and a couple other things. So I think the overall tax rate is going to stay the same. It's going to be flat. There was a $1 million set aside for class and compensation. I still don't think that that's enough money, but I understand that this is a tight budget year. So if somewhere in the middle of next fiscal year, we have some flexibility to continue to look at compression, I'd like to do that. And this is, just to give you an idea, this is the fiscal year 24-25 budget, and this is the recommended budget. So every detailed department is listed here. There will be a 2% cut in all general fund departments. So if you are a department that is grant funded, then obviously you won't experience that cut because your funds are not being compressed in the same way as some of the others. But our department, and usually electeds were excluded, and we advocated, the 5 of us, that all of us should have to experience the same sort of cuts that everybody else does. And so we'll all have a 2% cut in general funds. And then there will be a reduction in outside agency. And I think that is a summary of our meeting. I want to thank everyone who came to the meeting. We had a really full house, a lot of people that were there supporting our GEMS and the many proclamations that we passed this afternoon. But thank you so much for keeping up with Pima County politics. Stay safe, my friends.